Hello, stock gurus. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're having a beautiful night, or if you're in America, and morning if you're in Asia or wherever you are. I hope you have a beautiful day, beautiful night, beautiful life. We're looking at watch list. Yesterday we had a drop off in the market in the open. It was pretty brutal drop off again, continuing its trend of last week, and then big recovery close to the close, which was interesting. AI and then some of the other stocks actually recovered above where they opened. So AI up 7%, Uber up 4%, Intel up 4%. Intel was actually a really good buy, as I've been buying into Intel for a while, because that was actually one of the only companies that weren't so overbought as we've been tracking. The reason Intel, one, the financials are amazing on Intel, and two, they weren't overbought like the rest of the tech sector. Another thing that it's been showing me, this drops the last week, is that Google and Facebook and Intel are actually very strong companies to be to be using as a base of the portfolio. What I'm going to be doing for myself is more reallocating to have these as a base, which I do quite a lot. I have a lot of Facebook and I have a lot of Google, but I'm going to be increasing my positions and lowering my capital into the more overbought tech sector, because I believe, yes, this stimulus is going to pump the market, but the same kind of underlying problem is happening. A lot of the money went to the tech sector, which is beautiful for the long term and amazing, and I'm going to keep dollar cost averaging into the tech sector, but I want to make Google and Facebook, because I believe they're really the strongest companies in the world in a way. Right now, I'm talking to you on Google. This YouTube, it's part of Google. It's owned by Google. YouTube is owned by Google. So right now, I'm talking to you over Google. Facebook, everyone's using Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook. They're spending hours and hours per day on these companies. So I really like these companies. Their financials are absolutely amazing. Also, if I just quickly show you, I would have to go into my broker, Charles Schwab, to show you the in-depth financials. But if we quickly look here on Facebook's financials in in TradingView, they had $40 billion in revenues in 2017. Net income of $15 billion, profit margin 40%. So they're doing $40 billion in sales, they're keeping $15 billion as profit, and they're doing 40% profit margin, 39% profit margin in 2017. Then the revenues kept increasing year on year. Net income increasing, 55 billion, 70 billion, and then now 85 billion. So they went from 2017, $40 billion in sales to $85 billion in sales in 2020. 85 billion. Amazing. Net income, 30 billion. 33% profit margin. So that's why I really like them. Their financials just amazing. They have so much assets. They have a lot of cash flow. I really believe they're beating estimates nearly every single quarter. So I believe they're really undervalued, Facebook. And that's also showing me, because the whole tech sector had this big sell-off this week, right? But Facebook, look at the daily candles on Facebook. Barely even moving. It really, it's actually kind of stable after this week. This is the week where we had the big tech sector. It did kind of drop this week, if you like to take it. It went from, I guess, before the week started, $270 to 200, and now sitting at $64. So barely even moved on the week. Amazing. And a lot of buying volume came in. So stochastic RSI, wow, everyone. This is looking, I'm going to be buying Facebook. Now it's the weekend. Damn, we could look at Bitcoin and Ethereum so we can actually do stuff on the weekend. But I will be preparing buy orders to enter Facebook on Monday's trading day based off this information. One, the tech sector very heavily sold off. Two, instead of Facebook selling off, it actually started to climb. Green buying volume came in, and squeeze mob stochastic came from the over bottom, turned to head up. So this is showing me a lot of strength in Facebook. And I love their financials, and I've been saying that this company is very undervalued for a very long time. And we can also see a pattern here. I'm buying this on Monday. So I actually came on here to talk about the S&P 500, but this looks amazing, and I want to keep tracking this. It also have this very strong support on Facebook at this $250 mark even. And I want to do something, because I do see a pattern playing here, and it will give us some targets of where this might go if Facebook plays out what I'm seeing, which is beautiful. And I did get a lot of people messaging me, or their portfolios dropped, etc., etc. Beautiful. If you've been following my teachings, that's why I really recommend you have to take the course to understand what I'm doing here, the Stock Guru Master Course. In the description, the pinned comment, or www.stockguru.us, you have to take it to really, otherwise, if you had panic during the market this week, or if you were hurt during the market, you need to understand what's actually happening, because we're dollar cost averaging. I'm buying companies for 5 to 10 years, and I'm buying them on good technical entries. And when I see that, right, like this week when Facebook had this big the tech sector had this big sell-off and Facebook didn't, that's showing me big strength in Facebook. So I'm going to be buying more of it. So even though the tech sector was dropping, I'm finding kind of a safe haven in Facebook and Google, I noticed. and Intel, which I've already had a lot of quite big positions in already, but I'm going to be increasing those positions this week. If you want to see my live trades, you can see in the YouTube membership section, the join button is there. In the join button, if you click it, you'll see my live trades in the market. Every time I sell something, buy something, you'll see the limit price, the targets for my trade, the reasons for my trade. Oh, I need to tell, I have stuff here, and Cho always makes amazing fruit salad like breakfast. This is what you should. So guys, I have an in-house doctor. First thing you want to do when you wake up is drink lemon water. Second thing you want to do, my doctor is actually a famous doctor. He was the doctor of, he massaged a doctor of Dalai Lama and Muji. And he's kind of like a doctor for spiritual celebrities, kind of, in a way. So this is fruit platter. So what you're meant to eat sweet. For my constitution, a big guy, eating sweet in the morning is very good for my body, for my alkaline. And then nuts, this is what you're meant to have. And then a big heavy lunch, a good lunch, the biggest meal of the day, lunch, when the sun is highest, but lemon water first thing. So if you want to just copy what my doctors recommend and stuff, I'm not sick. Their job is just to keep me alive for a very long time. I have personal physicians. So it's Facebook is moving along this. It looks like it's doing that. But I really think a lot of people are going to notice, just like what I did, about this. So okay, if they do notice, and I think it is, they're already starting to, so I think on the market on Monday it's going to have a little pop-off when people see what's happening, especially my students who already probably saw this. Squeeze volume picking up, all green buying, stochastic RSI turning from the oversold, heading up, lots of the squeeze mob going green, and it squeezed here, right? And then I had a big movement, and also squeezed here for a big movement. Right now it's turning into a squeeze, so it looks like it's going to get tight here, come up, bounce off, come down, and then some kind of movement like this. I mean, normally in a descending wedge like this, we kind of have a descending wedge pattern, a very big one, and the base of the wedge is the target of the trade. So that's the base of the wedge. So the target of Facebook would be sitting at $300 and something. Right now we're at $264, so around 20% gain. Beautiful, good entry to a long-term stock. I mean, it could follow this if the market gets turmoil, but because they're printing the stimulus, I really think Facebook is going to kind of present that and go into this kind of trend line. And if it does go in that trend line, even for a year on this upper trend line, we are talking quite high position by 2022. Facebook could be closer. And I really think it's going to have a big movement imminently, because I think Facebook has been very repressed for a long time. A lot of this data analytical scandal, and this price, look at this chart, it's like a monster that's really being repressed. This, if we go to the 5 year, the all-time frame, look at the all-time frame of this company, look at that chart. It's beautiful. This is the most beautiful chart ever. I love it. It's like it looks like a dragon. Does everyone see this? It's like a freaking and got even a head. This thing's like a dragon. Okay, the wings made it look like some like ostrich, but this thing looks like a powerful chart. Overall trend, massive. Look at that trend line. If we actually just go by the main trend line that it's following, look where it ends up if we like keep following this. I think the market is going to go into the upper end of the trend line across most of the tech stocks, most of the stock market, just because the amount of money they were printing. So for example, here when Facebook IPO'd, there was around $2 trillion of US money supply. Because of all the printing they did in 2020 here, there is now, from around $2 trillion of money supply, there is now close to, after this 1.9 trillion stimulus, there's going to be 10 trillion. So here there was 2 trillion. Now there's going to be $10 trillion of money supply. But Facebook, etc., it just, for me, I believe it's going onto this upper trend line because of the amount of money they're printing. So we're going to really have some kind of inflationary event happening, I believe. And so I'm preparing by buying into some strong companies that I believe in. It really does look like a dragon, right? Giant tail, legs, and then head. Amazing. So if it fulfills this dragon head, then it's going to 280. Is that 300? Yes, 300 is that resistance. Squeeze mob, very green. Stochastic was turning to head down on the monthly, but the RSI, no, the RSI is not overbought. And this is one of the only companies, this, Google and Intel, now some of the companies reset, but on the monthly charts, on the monthly candles, each of these candles representing one day, it's usually only Facebook and Google that are not really overbought. I mean, they are quiet, but the RSI not yet. It's still turning up. So this looks like it's heading up. Facebook, $300 in target in the long run. I will be buying this and Google on Monday's trading day to just go more into the text, like to stay in the tech sector, but in safe kind of havens in these companies that I still expect huge growth in. Google and Facebook, to me, Google mostly is safer than the US dollar. I also want to point out Google, and let's see, I bet you this dragon chart is going to match up on Google. Let's see. See? The dragon chart matches up on Google. We have this giant, let's look at the all-time frame. Look at Google, pretty much same pattern, right? Except it's not really a head yet. The head hasn't formed of this dragon. Dragon is not an official technical pattern, everyone. I'm just seeing like this, and I like powerful charts that look like really upward trending. The overall thing we're looking at, your best friend is the trend, and it's massively trending up for Google. Volume predicts price, and you need to take the stock room master course to understand everything. But volume predicts price. Stochastic RSI heading up, and I'm a fool. This is what I do. This is what I do for my living. I analyze charts. Now I record them on YouTube, but I've been doing this for a very long time, and it pays off. And it's amazing. Just what you learn, just keep it simple. If you're like, oh, is this people scamming me? Do I need to know? You probably take your money, and I'm guessing each week you either. I mean, I don't want to degrade you. Some of you might be super healthy, but a lot of people would be wasting it on cigarettes, putting it in lotto, going to the casino and gambling it, putting it into poker, thinking they're going to start getting rich from this, which there is ways if you're a professional, but it's very difficult. There's just a lot of things, but the real place that billionaires put their money, you could just Google any billionaire, where is most of their fortune going to be in? It's in two places, real estate and stock market. And they're buying amazing companies. Why would you want to invest? Why would you want to put your money in poker or in cigarettes or in, I don't know, lotto and expect to get rich? Why wouldn't you put it in Google when right now you're watching me on Google? You can buy this company, Google, for $2,000. Yes, a quite high priced stock. It doesn't split much. But $2,000, if you save that up over 2 months, you sold your car and you bought four of those, it's a much better investment than lotto or poker or gambling or pretty much anything else ever before. Because look, okay, say you followed this theory back here in 2000 and when Google IPO'd, or not IPO'd, but it came on the ticker, 2014. It was $530. So if you put $2,000 there, you're now sitting at $8,000 now. 6 years later, but still $8,000, you're $2,000. But say you also sold your house, for example, and Google, I believe, is safer than the US dollar. I really believe Google is the safest asset. Pretty much, Bitcoin is amazing and gold is amazing, but Google, come on, everything runs on Google. Google is the safest asset in the world. Google, the company, is the safest asset in the world. I'm talking to you on Google. Everything you're searching for is Google. Think how many times a day you use Google. They run our entire internet. This thing is like, it's so ingrained into the technology. It's such a powerful, powerful company. And you can just see that even if you, for stability, look at their financials. Look at the financial. No other company, very like Apple and Facebook pretty much. But look at this, $111 billion in sales in 1 year. $12 billion in profits, 11% profit margins. Facebook's profit margin, amazing, aren't they? At 30%. But still, the revenues here in Google are astronomical. 2018, 136 billion, 30 billion in profits. 2019, 161 billion. So they went from 111 billion to now 108 in 2020, $182 billion in sales, $182 billion, close to $250 billion. Net income, $40 billion. They made $40 billion in profits. They kept from that 182 billion, 22% profit margin. This company is just unbelievable. It smashes earnings expectations nearly every single time and by quite a margin. I really like Google and I really like Facebook and I really believe these companies are safer than the US dollar. And I will be adding on because this strength that I saw here. If we go into the 1 year, Google did the same thing as Facebook. I did have these projections for it to come down actually, but instead it's actually going up. It's not coming down to this trend line because a lot of people saw what I saw. During this market correction, Google was actually positive. And that's very powerful. So this is the last week of trading. Each of those candlesticks representing 1 day. You learn this all in the Stock Room Master Course. You have to take it to understand all this. It's just, this is a kind of glimpse of the knowledge. And if you follow the course, and you need to always do your own due diligence, but it's made many of my students millionaires and multimillionaires, and it's just very powerful knowledge. www.stockguru.us. So stochastic RSI turning up from the oversold, lots of volume coming in, squeeze mob green, it went up during that market tech correction, the NASDAQ correction. Google went up. So people are seeing Google as a safe haven in the tech sector. And the overall trend of Google is massively trending up. The volume predicts price, huge volume. I love this company. For me personally, Google to me is safer than the US dollar. It's safer than anything. I'm more certain that Google is probably one of the safest assets that you could hold. You always have to do your own due diligence and things like this, but I'm going to be more heavily making my base Google and Facebook, expecting massive growth because a lot of the tech sector really exploded during this year. Google did go up. It almost doubled since the market sell-off, but not really since the recovery. It was at around 1,700. Now it's at 2,000. So it went up around 15%, but not like the overall tech sector, not like Tesla, not like Apple, where they went up just massively 100% and stuff. And Facebook, same. It's kind of been repressed. So they haven't been exploding like the other tech sectors after the crash. Facebook is just under, it was at 220 before COVID, then when COVID 140, and now it's sitting at 264. So it's only gone up around 20%. So this is why I like these companies. This is why I believe they're bigger than they're stronger than even the US dollar in security. I mean, the US dollar is very secure, but they're printing a lot of it. So I am going to be more allocating. So I believe this will pay off on the 1 trillion. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to move a stronger base into Facebook and Google. And Intel, I have quite a lot of already, these three companies, but I'm going to make them my stronger base because they're the only ones of the tech sector when the sell-off, and that's showing extreme strength in these guys. And not to mention Intel also, amazing revenues. Intel also has the same kind of setup as Google and Facebook. Just amazing year-on financials. They're just stunning. As in the Stockroom Masterclass, I teach you how to go into your broker and read the financials of companies more in depth, but this is kind of Snapchat, $62 billion revenue, $9 billion profit. Not as amazing as Facebook and Google, but still amazing. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned a lot. It is a beautiful morning here, and I'm going to go and enjoy the day and go jet skiing, which will be very fun. I hope you have a beautiful morning, beautiful night in America. I hope you learned a lot. I really do like these tech sectors. I will make a video. Is this tech crash finished? Because we had a big bounce up, didn't we, yesterday after the tech sector fall in the Nasdaq composite, a big rebound. That was our targets. Look at that wick. Look at that. It went green on the day, like such a strong rebound. And the stochastic RSI all oversold and turning up. This is actually a reset that we kind of needed. The Fed is really manufacturing this market very nicely. I'm very, very impressed. Jeremy Powell, you're a good man, and what you're doing, very impressed. You're like a master. Jeremy Powell is a kind of like Elon Musk of our time. People just don't understand that. Amazing. He is like a master. He's pretty much propping up the market, but what he's also, they're doing it so they can keep placated everyone and keep everyone calm while this whole COVID situation, keep the markets calm, keep the economies calm. And he's doing a masterful job at it. He really deserves our appreciation. Jeremy Powell, amazing. So thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend. It's the start of the weekend. Even though the market was difficult this week, we're buying amazing companies for 5 to 10 years. You really need to join us in the Stock Gurus. Take the Stock Guru Masterclass description, pin comment, www.stockguru.us. We also have a membership chat. If you're a Stock Guru, join the membership chat because it's amazing just being able to talk with everyone. The group is very powerful. 170 people, 16 millionaires, 6 multimillionaires, entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, just amazing group of people. This is James from Stock Guru. Have a beautiful night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.